we have to understand that we are energetic beings. We are not just meat suits, meat skeletons, walking around Earth mindlessly trying to figure out what the hell is all of this. We are actually living, breathing, multidimensional energetic beings. I have been going through a spiritual awakening where I want to say God because I truly understand how powerful God is and what God is. But when I say God, y'all, God is different to everybody across religions. And so it doesn't feel like a big enough term to describe what we really are, what we are really a part of. And so that's why you hear a lot of people starting to say spirit or source or the universe, and not to get all woo woo weird, but to me, I feel like God is just not the word God, and the way that God has been overused and described in the Bible has just exploded my mind into knowing that it's way more than that. And so I may refer to God as God, big dude. I may refer to it as spirit, as source, as the universe, infinite intelligence, because there is no way that us as humans can describe in one word what God really is. And so in my spiritual awakening, when I tell y'all, I done tapped in, locked in into multiple dimensions as far as the 3D, the 4D, and the 5D. I'm going to get to that later, but let me more so explain what I mean by we are energy. Energy, now, I'm not going to get scientific because I'm not even going to play that game. I know what I know and what has been given to me, downloaded from source. And I'm going to speak from that place because I don't want to pretend to be nothing that I'm not. I want to share my experience in a way that I hope will resonate with you where you are, because it's where I'm at, okay? So understand that we are energy vibrates, right? And energy, depending on the rate of vibration, vibrates into a certain frequency. So think about it like the radio station. When you tune into, in Houston, we have 97.9. I can't hear what's on 102, right? It's the same thing as your energetic being. I'm gonna break this down way further, but just know that as an energy, you are vibrating on a certain frequency, and that frequency manifests as your entire reality. Now, I do want to kind of touch on what that means in the 3D, the 4D, and the 5D. So the 3D world is what we see right now. It's the flesh and blood that we see walking around, the physical manifestations of matter, these things, all of it, right? And the 4D is more so the thought form of that. The past, where time does not exist, where the past, future, and present are all at one, all happening at the same time based on our thoughts. So think of this as like the mental plane or the thought realm. And then you have the 5D, which is the spiritual realm, where this is where you go into prayer and meditation and you create that inner abundance, inner self-worth. It's who you believe yourself to be. So in order to truly understand how we operate in these multiple realms, now that you know we energy, if you don't believe that, click off the video because I already lost you. But to know that you're an energetic being vibrating on a certain frequency, let's say you tell yourself you want to be a millionaire, but you're vibrating on the frequency of poverty, of lack. How does that show up in your 3D world? How does that show up in your reality? Based on what you truly believe, not what you tell yourself, but the way that the multiple things of you, right? The coming together of all dimensions on what you believe, how you take action into this 3D world, what you believe in the 4D world, and where you are spiritually in the 5D world of faith, of trust, of knowing that God, the universe, is going to give you the desires of your heart, but you have to truly give them to yourself first. So your frequency, your energetic signature, your combination of all of your thoughts, beliefs, and identity, the actions that you take, show up in your world. It's how you manifest. It is the law of attraction in its purest form. People can give you all type of hills to climb to understand what the law of attraction is, but to understand what it truly is to look around, because you are the center of your world. You are the main attraction of your world. we can look at the same movie and have two different meanings. Why? Because I live in my world where my subconscious belief, my background, who I tell myself I am, is going to see something completely different than what you see based on your background. So it's so important to understand your frequency, which, to put it in another way, to think about it as, let's go religious with it, where there's a heaven or hell. A lot of people think that heaven is a place that you can die and go to, as well as hell as well. But when you think about truly what heaven and hell really is the frequency that you live in. You can be in hell right now. Okay? You could be going through and feeling like you are going through hell. And then you could also be on the frequency of heaven, which is, so let's say the frequency of hell are negative emotions that don't make you feel good. Period, point blank. There is no other way to cut it, cook it, slice it, rub it down. When you feel anger, when you feel frustration, when you feel stress, when you feel overwhelmed, when you feel anxiety, those are anxious feelings that are not in our true essence, our God being, our God-like body, or level of consciousness. It knocks us off, our pivot. But when you are feeling like, what's that song? I got heaven right here on earth. That feeling is when you feel happy, you feel joyous, you feel like everything is going right. I ain't worried about nothing. I let that man go. I got a better job. When you are in that frequency, here's the thing that we don't realize, and that's not taught to us, is that we can decide. So you hear it say that you can manifest anything, right? And you can, and you do. We're just doing it unconsciously. So think about the last thing that you wanted really, really bad, that you didn't know exactly how you was going to get it, whether it was a partner, whether it was a relationship, whether it was a job. You didn't know exactly how you were going to get it, but you decided, right? You gave yourself the feeling of, I'm going to have it. If you did that about every single thing in your life, you would have it, because you gave it to yourself on a spiritual level, on a mental level, and it manifested into this 3D. So here's another thing about these multiple dimensions that we work in, is that 3D is effect. And we're going to get into this a little bit later, but I do want to plug this in. 3D is the effect realm. It's the end result. It's the manifestation already manifested. So when you think that you can go into the world and change the way you feel by doing something, you're kind of working in reverse. You have to go to the cause. Why do I feel this way? Do I believe that I deserve it? Why do I really want this job? What is this trying to tell me? And if you can give yourself the answer, give yourself the feeling, put yourself on the frequency of having it in the 4D and the 5D, then it manifests in the 3D world. Okay. All right, now let's get into the real magic of all of this. Your emotions. We are not taught enough about emotions. Nobody talks about emotions in school. Yeah, you may hear, okay, there's happy, anger, mad, sad, whatever. That's how you're feeling. But one thing about emotions is that emotions is energy in motion. It is the language of the universe, of your frequency, of your vibration, of how you communicate with God, with spirit, with source. Okay? So when you understand that as the blueprint to your life. Your emotions are your guide and your compass to what you're attracting. If you allow somebody to come into your life and make you feel bad, make you feel like you're not good enough, make you feel like you have low self-esteem, make you question your own thoughts and beliefs about who the F you are, you're going to continue to attract and manifest people that make you feel the same way. Have you ever felt like you are meeting the same person in multiple in different bodies, but you get the same exact result every single time? Why is that? Because they are triggering, you are allowing them. One, you have accepted this emotion as your truth. You have accepted that life is just not going to work out for you. All men are horrible. Baby daddies are ghetto. Single mom means struggle. What else? I can't get a job that pays more than this amount. When you accept that energetically, emotionally as your truth, that is what is going to manifest. Y'all, it's not based on nothing else. It starts with your emotions, because emotional conviction, that feeling in your heart when somebody breaks your heart, or when you are in a room and you know these just not your people and your heart just tell you I gotta go, it's not necessarily your thoughts. Your thoughts are charged by emotion, right? And that is the real energetic signature. Like you can have a thought and be like, oh, I ain't gonna let that bother me, and it has no emotional effect on you. Think about like the last person you dated. Or matter of fact, if you've ever lost a job before and it felt good because being at that job made you feel bad. But when you lost that job, it actually made you feel better and your life actually got better because you felt better about yourself. So when you truly understand, now, since I understand what my emotions are trying to tell me, I can choose a different emotion. And a big part of this in my spiritual awakening was understanding that emotions are not bad. No emotion is bad. It's just trying to tell you something that you may not be ready to hear at that moment. But if you sit with that emotion, okay, I feel anger. Why do I feel angry? I don't feel angry because of what they did. I feel angry because of the way it made me feel. It made me feel like I wasn't doing enough. It made me feel like I wasn't, doing my best. And whether you truly feel that way or not, you go back and you fix that emotionally. Okay, emotionally, I know I gave my best. I know I put my heart out there. So I'm going to fulfill that prophecy in the way that I want versus the way the world is trying to tell me. Y'all, when I tell you that is a game changer, and it's truly how you transmute energy by not allowing other people decide what your emotions are going to be. You decide. It is your choice whether you want to feel happy or sad or mad or angry. Stop allowing people to control your day, your life, your energy by letting them dictate how you feel. You don't like that job? Find a new one. And in order to truly manifest this in your life and becoming like the master of your own world, you have to embody the emotion that you want to feel no matter what this 3D world is showing you. Everything could be falling apart. Things could be going left, right, and indifferent. It's okay to feel emotion. Here's the game changer: how you act from that emotion. So you could be going through a breakup. He got you all the way messed up. And you could think of the worst thing you can do. I'm finna go slash all his tires. I'm finna call him, cuss him out. I'm gonna call his mama and cuss him out. Cuss her out too for birthing his, you know what I'm saying? But what does that do? That gives people your energy. And that emits that anger that you feel in your heart, emits to your energetic field that something is wrong, that you are angry, that you're not good enough, you're not in control, other people have control of your emotions, and you're going to find yourself in that type of situation again versus I'm going to sit in my anger and I'm going to be upset and I'm going to write down, I'm going to get it out, I'm going to call a friend, I'm going to do something to get it out, but then I'm not going to act on it. And when I do decide to take action, I'm going to act from a place of power instead of pain. All right, so how do we actually apply this on these multiple planes of existence that I'm talking about? So as you should know, there are 3 planes of existence: the physical, the spiritual, and the mental, right? Most people, 98% of the world, are operating solely on the physical. That's why people trade time for money, because they feel like, okay, well, as long as I can make a living, I can do this life thing. But when you start operating on your God level, on your Christ consciousness, on your highest self, in the highest realm, you understand that this is the end result. This is just the manifestation of what you've already been thinking. So what is the 3D realm? It's the realm of matter, right? I've even heard it called the realm of frozen imagination, because every single thing that you see, this soda, these plants, this picture, this dress, was started from up here. Somebody sat at a computer, sat at a desk, sat over with a pen and paper, and they had an idea and they wrote it out. That right there is proof enough that it's not just physical. It started every single thing, these braids, this camera, every single thing in this planet started from an idea up here. So that should help you understand what the 3D world is. It is the end result of an imagination, of a manifestation, right? So I say this to say, stop looking at your world as something that you're stuck in, because you're only stuck if you allow yourself to be stuck. You are always putting yourself in a box. The box you choose is the box you will live in, okay? When you start to realize that you are truly an energetic being, you are a co-creator with God in this universe, on this planet. When you truly start to understand that, then now, okay, I'm going to start choosing my thoughts better. And I'm going to start choosing my emotions better, because that is the only thing that is going to change what is showing up. It's not something that you have to do. It's something that you have to be. You have to be happy. You don't do happy, you be happy. Think about it like this. The last time you thought something was going to make you happy, whether it was buying a bag or shoes or whatever, once you got it, where that bag and that shoes in now? Are you walking around with it every day as happy as you can be? Or is it just like, okay, I got it, yay? That happiness is temporary because you thought something was going to make you happy, instead of knowing that you are the one that makes yourself happy. And then more happiness starts to manifest in this 3D world to confirm what you already are on the inside. So now I want to move into the 4D. In the fourth dimension is kind of the void, right? The in between the 3D and the 5D. This is where the universe conspires to work in your favor, right? This is where your your physical and your spiritual kind of meet up to make up the blueprint of who you are. And one thing that I love about the 4D is that time does not exist. Now this gets really, really deep, and I'm going to try to explain it as clearly as possible. Since time does not exist in the 4D, think of it like the void. There's nothing physical about it. And in this space, the past, the present, and the future are all happening at the same time. What does this mean? Your child self, your future self, and your current self are all happening at the same time. This is so powerful to understand, because the thoughts that you were thinking have you living in that current state. Most people are reliving their past over and over again, over and over again. Every time somebody triggers you, it takes you back to a childhood memory. Every time you feel like you're not getting that love from someone, it takes you back to a childhood memory. A lot of people don't know how to operate in that future tense besides projecting the past on the future. In the fourth dimension, time does not exist. Everything is happening at one time. This is where you start to hear like quantum physics and the quantum leap and parallel universes, meaning everything is happening at one time. And what I've come to understand is the reason why, because that's where we are mentally. I think of the 4D as like the average of all times. It is the memories of your past and the creation of your future that lead you right here where you are and what you believe. What you believe about your past and what you believe about your future is what you're currently experiencing as your reality in the 3D world, but it is transpiring on the fourth dimension. Okay? And so then that's why it's important to talk about the 5D, because the 5D, oh, I love me some 5D. Man, 5D is your spiritual realm. And this is where you meet your ancestors, you talk to God, you commingle with other energies, you mingle with source. You can truly understand what good and evil is. There's this law of polarity. Y'all, like I said, I don't want to try to sound more fancier than I am, but it's like the law of separation, where outside of the third dimension, separation does not exist. There is no such thing as good and evil, right or wrong, left or right. It's all one. Everything in this universe is all one. But the human mind has to conceptualize these things, to put things in categories to decide who we want to be or not. What may be good for me, you probably hate. If I like pepperoni on my pizza, you probably hate pepperoni on your pizza. That doesn't mean it's bad. It just means you don't like it. Right? You may hate the color red. I may love the color red. We are all, and what this goes back to is understanding how we are co-creators with God, and that we are God beings experiencing its creation. Right? We are God bodies that are experiencing the creation that we manifest for ourselves. So in the 5D, it's so important to have that connection with source and everything, all that is, because it's truly who you are. And now those emotions, you can give yourself happiness. You can give yourself love. You can give yourself every single thing that you didn't experience, especially from your childhood. Your childhood, inner child healing is so important in shadow work because it was who we were before we had a choice. Now as adults, we have a choice, but before we didn't. It was everybody else told us what was right, what was wrong, what was good and bad. And sometimes you rebelled against it even then. But in the 5D, you can go and change that. And you can spiritually give yourself as a child of God the things that you did not have. Okay, so how do you build your 5D? How do you cultivate an inner self? It's through meditation or through prayer or through journaling or through that positive self-talk that's like, okay, understanding this is what I want. This is who I am. I don't like this about myself. What is that? Asking questions about yourself, questioning your own thoughts is a major key in your spiritual awakening because you are operating from automatic programming unless you start questioning it. Right? So think about it like this. If there is something, like I said, you're always putting yourself in a box. So if you tend to get triggered by someone disrespecting you and you crash out, now people know how to poke your button because all they got to do is disrespect you. You're not in control. You're putting yourself in a box of allowing other people to control your emotions. But when you say, okay, baby, y'all got me messed up. I'm going to figure out what's wrong with me. This triggers me because I wasn't allowed to voice my opinion as a child. I wasn't allowed to stand up for myself. I wasn't allowed to be my most authentic self. So now as an adult, when someone triggers me, I'm going to crash out because I want you to know you can't play with me like that. Now, instead of giving your energy to that person where they can control you, you say, okay, I wasn't allowed to express myself as a child, but I'm an adult now. And I know that that was just someone else who had control, but they no longer have control of me anymore. So what do I need to give myself in this moment? I need to validate myself. I need to take away external validation and know that if I feel like I'm right, I'm right. And if I feel like I'm wrong, I'm still right if I don't want to apologize, because there is no right or wrong. There is no good or bad besides what you decide. So this is why the spiritual world and the 5D is so important, because you make the rules in the 5D that manifest in the 3D. I hope that makes sense. If not, we'll talk about it later, girl. Okay, so here is the secret. You are navigating all of these dimensions consciously or unconsciously all at one time, whether you know it or not. You are always in the 3D, 4D, and 5D. We're not taught this. We are taught to just pray, beg to the big guy in the sky, and he gonna call us on the main line. And if he answers, sometimes the line might be busy, so you gotta wait in line and wait your number, and it's gonna happen when it's supposed to happen. No. Let's cancel that. Let's cancel that. One thing that, and this is a personal opinion, but one thing about the Bible is that people can pick and choose the parts of the Bible that they want to use, and then they can weaponize it against you based on what they want you to do. And that is where the Bible gets tricky. And that is where religion gets tricky. And one thing that I love about religion is that you got to know God for yourself. You have to build that relationship with God for yourself so that you can understand how these stories truly work, what they truly represent, and how you can use them for your benefit in a way that empowers you and makes you, instead of makes you the prey, right? So understanding that, okay, first I need to build my 5D world. That is the main thing, because the 4D you don't really have a lot of control over. It's more so just what you think about yourself and what you want to manifest. But when you go within in the 5D and you start deciding, okay, I'm going to meditate for 30 minutes a day where I'm just going to sit in silence. The first thing that's going to happen is you're going to hear so much noise in your head. You're going to hear. I remember when I was going through this, and I just remember thinking, I can't hear my voice. I cannot hear my voice. I don't know who is me and who is everyone else. So I think in 2011 or 2012, I just packed up and moved away. Matter of fact, it was 2015. This was my second time doing this. And I moved to Atlanta because I'm like, I don't know who I am. And I want to figure it out. And so I moved away to try to just identify, what is Andrea like? What do I care about? What do I love? What do I like about myself? What do I not like about myself? Like, who am I without these other people telling me? That is the first thing. So sitting in meditation would allow you to start to pick and choose your thoughts. Don't let it overwhelm you. You're going to have to practice it. Like, this is a lifelong journey. This is not just a 1 or 2 time thing. So sitting with yourself, being okay with isolation, being okay with trusting yourself, trusting your opinion. Let me tell you something. People are not going to like it. When you start thinking for yourself, people are not going to like it, but you have to sacrifice those people for yourself. Period, point blank. There's no other way around it. So once you start building your inner voice, building your inner wealth, your inner abundance, knowing what you like and what you don't like, knowing how you want to react and how you want to respond, knowing what type of life you want. Do you want to travel more? Do you want to work a 9 to 5? Would you rather be an entrepreneur? No matter if nobody believes you, no matter if that means I have to go have a setback just in order to go forward. You know what I'm saying? Like, am I okay with that? And then in the 3D, you have to be okay. When you set yourself up for success in the 5D, in your spiritual world, you have to be okay with whatever happens in the 3D, because you don't know what's happening in the 4D. Right? You don't know what's happening in the void. All you have control over is your current thoughts, healing your inner child, making conscious decisions about what you want your future to be like. And things are going to fall away and break away, and people going to switch up on you, and they're going to say you switched up, and you have to be okay with that, because it's what you asked for. It's what you prayed for. It was the whole point of the whole thing in the beginning. So you have to be okay with blind faith, blind trust, trusting the process, trusting what you told yourself and what you gave yourself and what you learned about yourself in the 5D, to know that, okay, as the 4D begins to conspire in my favor and the universe begins to move things around, it's going to show up. But it's going to cost me this reality right now. So if, let's say you have an external validation, this is something that I dealt with, and that cost me a lot of relationships, that I cared about that person's opinion more than I cared about my own. So when I stopped seeking that person's opinion, they got angry at me. And I had to say, okay, well, if you're going to be mad, you got to be mad because I choose me in this situation. You know what I'm saying? And you can always tell. And you can tell if you're being honest with yourself. You can tell when you're running back to it as well. You can tell when you are running back to the person that hurt you because you keep showing up for them and they're not showing up for you. And they're only draining your energy instead of giving you energy. When you feel drained after dealing with somebody or going to work, that's not normal. That's not natural. That is not the feeling you would give yourself in the 5D, in your spiritual world. You would not accept that. But since you're not choosing something else, you're choosing that box. So how do you do it, Drea? How do you shift to a higher frequency? How do you change your reality? How do you begin to manifest the life that you want? As simple as I can put it is by embodying the higher version of yourself. Like I said, a lot of us are living in the past. We got to heal our past so that we can create our future. We cannot create a future that we truly desire if we are still operating on beliefs that limit us, that make us feel small, that make us feel limited. Okay? So when I say embody it, what I mean is give yourself the peace that you didn't get. Give yourself the love, the validation, the security, the protection, anything that you lacked in your childhood. Let's say you grew up on like government assistance, food stamps, welfare. Instead of thinking that as a child, I was at a disadvantage, think, what did this taught me? This taught me that family is important, that I truly want to have a family where we love each other, and that's the most important thing. This also taught me the value of money. Not that it's a bad thing because I didn't have it, but I would rather have it because it would have given me a better life. Going back, and I remember, my mom had 4 kids, so we shopped on the clearance rack. So instead of thinking, okay, well, I'm not good enough for full price items, go back and say, my mom couldn't afford this, but you can. When you grow up, you're going to be able to afford this and you can buy whatever you want. So what that does is begin to shift the belief about who you were as a child. And you make it, okay, well, this is a projection on me. This is not me. My mama couldn't afford that, but that doesn't mean that I can't. So I'm going to be able to afford this when I grow up. So now in your adult life, instead of operating from this child who feels like she's not good enough, now you can say, no, I'm that adult now that's good enough. And you do this already because we all have ways that we have changed from our generations. But I think the goal is to start to do it more consciously in every area of our life, whether it's finances, relationships, love, family dynamics, work situations, entrepreneurship. No matter what it is, begin to shift the narrative and get in the driver's seat of your life in all the places you don't feel control of. And how do you know? Based on how you feel. Based on, does it give me anxiety or not? Does it upset me? Do I feel like I'm in control of my emotions? Then you begin to shift into higher frequencies when now I'm turning my radio station. I'm not even tuned. I don't even relate to that person anymore. Right? You know, like you'll have an ex and you be like, ugh, I can't believe I talk to him anymore. You will feel the same way about yourself. Ugh, I can't believe I allowed somebody to talk to me like that. I can't believe I allowed this person to come into my life. I can't believe I worked for a company like that anymore. But it taught me this. Here's another key. Don't make it a bad thing. Make it a learning experience. Because when you make it a bad thing, you operate from that negative place. But when you make it a learning experience, you operate from a growth standpoint. So instead of playing back, ugh, I hated that job. That was the worst time of my life. So much bad things happened. You say, no, that taught me my worth. And that taught me to never settle for anything less than I deserve. And you see how you can move from power? That is what raises your frequency. Because now, mentally, I know I would never tolerate that. So when it show up in my 3D world, it quickly gets dismissed versus me getting triggered into allowing it to happen. Because that's just what I'm used to. I had a bad boss at the last job. Every job I work, I just have a bad boss. No, stop accepting things that you don't like. Period. This is your world and you can do whatever you want to do with it. Your choice. Here's another point. You are a vibrational being. You are not a victim. When we go into victim mindset, we attract predators. We attract people who are vibrating on that frequency. Okay? So not only do we attract the material things that are on that same frequency, we attract other energies that are on that same frequency. So someone, you know, like you have the narcissist and the empath. Because I'm so empathetic, I always tend to attract narcissist people because they can see that in me. They can sense it. They can feel it energetically before you even open your mouth that you're insecure. Okay, so stop being a victim to your frequency and to other people's frequency. Change your victim mindset. What do I mean by victim mindset? Thinking that things are happening to you. Life is just happening to me. Like, oh, I got evicted. That happened to me. Oh, my baby daddy didn't show up. That happened to me. No, that happened for you. Every single thing in your life has happened for you to learn a lesson from. If you don't learn the lesson, it's going to repeat itself because your higher self knows where you want to be. But your inner child knows what you've been through. And right now, they're meeting at an average of what you allow. They're meeting at an average of what you accept. So change what you accept and then vibrate on a different frequency where I am not a victim to this frequency anymore. And I have something that I call the sneaky frequency. Now this joker vibrate on it's what people would call the devil, okay? Or negative energy. And what the frequency does is tries to trip you up. It tries to trick you into believing that what you're doing is not working or that something is wrong with you. And once you begin to recognize it, you begin to understand why things are happening the way that they're happening, right? So instead of because here's the thing about it, you don't know how the universe is going to unfold. You do not know how God is trying to give you exactly what it is that you asked for, but because you didn't want it that way, now you got to learn it a different way. But if you begin to recognize, okay, well, this is the relationship that I wanted. I love this man, but I recognize that he's not good for me. The sneaky frequency is going to come back and then that man going to start doing everything you asked him to do for 3 days or 3 weeks. And then he'll be back to where he was because he was just being sneaky. Or Let's say it's something personal. It's an insecurity. When you get around your friends, you feel insecure that your makeup isn't done as well as them. So this time you're going to do your makeup, and then you're going to go out with your friends, and they're going to be like, oh, girl, you did your makeup, and try to that is the sneaky frequency trying to pull back that energy from you, because it wants to keep you where you're at, because it's comfortable with where you at. Why are you trying to switch up? Why are you trying to change? Because I want to. Because it's my prerogative. Because this is my life. And baby, if I want to wear 10 layers of foundation, that's what I'm going to do. What's it to you? So that's what I mean about the sneaky freaks. Y'all, I'm going to do a whole episode about that, because I had to learn, we all do, how to identify it and know that it's going to try, but you don't have to give into it. The more that you decrease its power and begin to recognize it, the less power it has over you. Okay, y'all, so the key takeaway that I want y'all to know from here is that you are an energetic being. You are a co-creator with God. You are a God body living and breathing in its creation, experiencing itself, okay? And when you understand that, you can take the reins back over your life multidimensionally on the 3D world, which is the physical, on the 4D, which is thought, and on the 5D, which is spiritual, your consciousness, your subconscious. Okay, we didn't even go down all that line in the conscious and subconscious, but just know consciously you're operating in the 3D, but subconsciously you're also operating in the 5D, whether you know it or not. And in that void, in that space in between of God giving you what you asked for or not, you have to learn to be comfortable with how it works out. Because we can plan all day, but if you want to make God laugh, you show him your plans. Because whatever you have planned, God has a plan that's 10 times, 100 times, 1,000,000 times way better than you could even imagine. All right. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see y'all in the next video.